On her first night shift, the nurse suddenly got slapped out of nowhere. When she stood up and looked around, there was not a soul in sight. She went to the mirror, staring at the clear handprint on her face, certain it hadn't been a dream. Just as she figured it was a prank by a colleague, something unexpected happened. The story takes place in a hospital in Mexico. On her first day of work, Sophia was assigned to work the night shift alone in the intensive care ICU. The head nurse handed her the keys and warned her, if she encountered any other nurses during the night shift, she must not speak to them. After Sophia left, one nurse said they should tell her the truth, but the head nurse clearly had no intention of doing so. When Sophia arrived at the ICU, the empty corridor genuinely gave her the creeps. She summoned up her courage and started working. At first, everything went smoothly, but just as she was about to change a patient's dressing, she suddenly heard singing coming from the corridor. Sophia cautiously stepped out to check, but the corridor was completely empty. No one was there. She reassured herself she must have misheard, put on a brave face, and returned to the ward. But her distraction made her accidentally knock over the medical solution, staining her clothes. Sophia had to go back to the staff locker room, only to find her locker door already open. As she wondered why, the sound of high-heeled shoes suddenly echoed in the corridor, and a figure appeared behind the glass. Sophia tentatively greeted the figure, but there was no response. She plucked up the courage to step out and check, but the corridor was still deserted. Just as she was changing her clothes, the footsteps sounded again. Peering out from behind the locker, she saw the figure wearing a nurse's cap, moving stiffly like a zombie. Sophia froze in terror, staring fixedly at the figure, which seemed about to walk into the locker room at any moment. Yet in the next second, it vanished without a trace. Sophia didn't believe in ghosts, so she thought these bizarre incidents were definitely pranks by her colleagues teasing the new girl. She didn't have time to think further, as the patient was still waiting for her to administer an injection. Sophia hurried back to the ward. When she was about to give a man a painkiller, he said a nurse in a black cloak had already given it to him earlier. Sophia quickly checked the records and found an unfamiliar signature had indeed been added, and some of the painkillers in the tray were missing. Furious at her colleague's extreme behavior, she stormed to the nurse's station to confront them. However, the colleague replied that only Sophia had the keys to the ICU. She couldn't have gotten in at all. Moreover, black cloaks were worn by nurses 100 years ago and had long been phased out. The colleague solemnly warned her. The ICU had always been haunted, so she must not fall asleep during the night shift. Sophia stood frozen, suddenly regretting taking the job. As she returned to the ICU with a heavy heart, the lights in the corridor began to flicker violently. The sound of footsteps mixed with singing echoed again, and an eerie black figure slowly emerged from the corner. Sophia summoned all her courage and walked forward slowly. She wanted to see what the ghost really looked like.